extinction over 65 million years ago, every species that averaged larger than 20 pounds was wiped off the face of the Earth. 70% of all life on the planet was destroyed. But tiny mammals, much smaller than today's rodents, survived.
This guy would have been a giant compared to the mammals at that time.
Evolutionary biologist Felicia Smith works with a creature approximately 1/200,000th the size of a sauropod, but no less important in the strange story of size. The amazing, size-changing wood rat.
Well, wood rats are probably one of the mammals that are most sensitive to temperature.
Bushy-tailed wood rats are small where the climate is hot, and 3 times the size where the climate is cold.
Let's go ahead and wear. The animals here in the southern part of the range in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains of New Mexico are the smallest. If you go up to the northern part of the range in Canada, 204, you'll find animals that are about 3 times the size.
Wood rats even live in one of the hottest spots on Earth, Death Valley, offering a hint of how those earliest mammals survived when most everything else died in the wake of the asteroid hit.
In Death Valley, for roughly 3 months, it's above lethal every single day. So how are the animals able to get around the fact? Well, for one thing, they're nocturnal. But that doesn't help much when nighttime temperatures are still 118. It's still above lethal.
Smith made repeated ventures into the blistering heat of Death Valley and uncovered the wood rat's survival secret.
The animals build these enormous dens, and we found to our surprise, by burrowing deep enough in the ground, some of these animals were able to get to a place within their den where the temperatures were 36 degrees Fahrenheit, cooler than the outside temperatures, which is an enormous amount. It gives them an edge where they can actually survive.
For the wood rats in Death Valley and those first mammals, being small was an advantage. They were able to hide out and survive on little until food sources returned and life on Earth could spread again. Mammals radiated out into thousands of species, from leopards to rabbits to people. And 3/4 of those species have grown larger over time.
A lot of groups, when you look at the sequence of fossils over time, you see that within a species, animals are getting progressively bigger. It's not true for all groups, but it's true for quite a few of them.
For example, horses in North America have a beautiful fossil record documenting ever-increasing body size over tens of millions of years.
In an evolutionary sense, there's always selection for larger size. You're better at getting mates. You're better at fighting with other individuals. If you're a carnivore, you're better at stealing carcasses from other species. There are lots of reasons to get big.
Blair von Valkenburg teaches ecology and evolutionary biology at UCLA. An expert on wolves, past and present, Valkenburg argues that with size comes risk. As meat-eating mammals grow larger, they reach a tipping point.
It's really interesting. Mammalian carnivores fall into 2 groups, basically divided by body size. Everything that's less than 44 pounds and pretty much everything that is above 44 pounds.
Above 44 pounds, a meat-eating mammal has to change its diet to eat much bigger prey. Otherwise, it has to hunt too frequently.
Imagine a day in the life of a wolf. And the wolf says, I'm going to eat mice today. So he goes out and hunts, catches a mouse. Yum, that's good. But I'm still hungry. So let's get another mouse. Still hungry. Another mouse, and another mouse, and another mouse. Every mouse he catches, he's expending that energy that he gained catching that next mouse. So he can hunt all day and never get full, never be satiated.
The balance between size, food, and the energy required to get it means that no land mammal carnivore could ever be bigger than 2,400 pounds, about 700 pounds heavier than the heaviest polar bear.
Animals can't get infinitely big. There are all kinds of factors that come into play. Animals have to be able to get enough oxygen to their tissues to keep their tissues alive. If you're really big, that's not very easy to do. Animals have to be able to find enough food to feed themselves. If you're infinitely big, there's just not enough food in the environment. Also, most animals have to move around on the ground and support their body weight. And if you're too big, that just can't be done.
The dire wolf evolved about 9 million years ago and grew to 150 pounds, twice the size of today's gray wolf, which made it an evolutionary success for a time. But the dire wolf could not adapt when the change in climate killed off some of its prey. After 100,000 years of coexistence with its gray wolf cousin, the big-eater dire wolf went extinct 10,000 years ago. Meat-eating dinosaurs, of course, got much bigger. But even an energy-efficient reptile like T-Rex bumped up against its maximum size.
Tyrannosaurus rex was probably limited in how big it could get because it relied on meat. And there are studies that suggest that Tyrannosaurus rex was as big as a carnivore can get. Sometimes you can't just keep on getting bigger.
What about human beings? Are we evolving bigger and taller all the time? And are we therefore at risk for extinction?
There's no question that over the last 100 years, people have been getting taller, especially in North America. If you go to an old colonial home, the doors are shorter, you feel like a giant walking around in there. But is that a result of evolutionary change, or is that just a result of differences in nutrition? That's something we don't exactly know.
Human height is something of a mystery, and the story is full of surprises, starting with the fact that we are now shorter than we were 50,000 years ago.
Believe it or not, agriculture was not progress.
Across